happy to have Xavier and Dennis. Both of us are here with us. And Dennis is from Boston College, first freshman, and Xavier is, and of course, Dennis is born and raised in New York,
Yeah.
and Xavier is from where? Xavier, which part of place? I mean, US.
I'm from Texas originally.
Yeah, Texas. Okay. Yes, Dennis, over to you.
I guess, I don't know, I guess, how was your childhood? Like, how were you born and raised? I know you say you're originally from Texas, so I
Yeah.
guess,
So I was born and raised in Texas. I grew up in the like spirituality and faith wise. I grew up in the Mormon church,
mm,
and when I was in my let's see here, yeah. So in my early 20s, I moved to Utah, and I lived there for many years. And in my late 20s, I just had like this, like I never felt like at home with the Mormon faith. Like I enjoyed it, but it just like there was just something that it just wasn't right for me, you know. And so in my late 20s, I I had it was just a combination of things, and I ended up um, leaving the Mormon faith, and for many years, I wanted nothing to do with religion. I just wanted to, just find things out on my own, um, just live my life, and do things the way I wanted to do them.
right.
And then um, in in my time in Utah, one of my best friends connected me, like me and one of my best friends would go and ride motorcycles all the time,
Mhm.
and then he says, "Hey, um, there's you should you should you should come ride with me and my other friend, a coworker." So I went out and rode bikes with them, and the three of us were just became this tight knit like small circle of friends, and so um, eventually like 12, I think like 12 or 13 years pass, and um, the one stays in Utah, one moves to um, California, and I move out here, and I'm still doing my own thing. And and then I learned that one of my I learned that the friend that had moved to California has moved back to Utah, and so um, I started going to uh, I would go back to Utah for Thanksgiving just to have a Friendsgiving thing, with him and his wife and their family, and um, and prior to us each like him going to California, me coming here, we would party, we would party like every weekend. And when I went back for Thanksgiving, I would offer to buy drinks, and he's like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, "Okay, whatever," Um, and that went on for a while, and then last summer, um, yeah, last summer they came out to visit me, and I picked them up from the airport, and we got back to my place. I said, "Hey, there's drinks in the fridge, and he's like, "No, I'm good." I'm like, "Oh, okay, it's all right, whatever." And then the next night at dinner, I offered to buy drinks again, and he's like, "No, I'm good." And I asked him, I was like, "Man," I was like, "We used to party and drink all the time. Like, what's going on? Are you mad at me or something?" He's like, "No." And I was like, "Well, what's up?" He's like, "Well, I I went back to my religion." I was like, "Oh," I was like, "All right." I was like, "Is it like Mormon or what? Because you're not drinking anymore, or." And he's like, "No." He, and he says, "Have you heard of?" of Krishna. And I said, I've heard the name, but I don't know much, I don't know much about it. And so he started he started teaching me about Krishna and about Krishna consciousness, and then he and his wife went home, and we would just call and text. I would just call him or text him with questions that I had, and he says you need to start chanting and you need to start reading the Gita. And so I started looking for a copy of the Gita on like Amazon or some other bookseller. He said, stop looking, I'm sending you stuff in the mail. So he sent me uh, a Japamala and a copy of the Gita, and I just started reading. And then he says, call me and I'll teach you how to chant. And so I called him and he taught me how to chant. Um, and so this went on for a while, just me asking me questions, and I realized it's like he's a good source of information because he's been in this for a long time, but I need to find somebody closer, and uh, and so um, and so I started reaching out to like the Boston Temple, and for months I wasn't hearing anything, and then that went on for like 5 months, and then in December, like I think it was right before Christmas, I was just doom scrolling on Instagram, and I get this pop up from ISKCON Boston that said, "Hey, we're doing this retreat. Do you want to come?" And so I signed up for the retreat, and that's where I met um, Raghava, and I met a few other devotees, and since then it's just been yeah, it's been chill. It's been fun.
Right. Yeah, I mean that's a beautiful story, man. I'll be honest. I haven't spoken to a lot of very spiritual people, but you know, I guess a commonality is like a lot of people have like this major theme or a big story they had that guided them to their spirituality or whatever their religion is, and I think yours is very beautiful, and it's very heartwarming, it's very touching. So
Thank
that was
you.
nice. No problem.
So, Daniel, Dennis, you have any questions about his experience?
Well, I mean, I don't have enough experience to have any questions about it yet, but I will
I
say, I guess one question I do have is, how will you know until you reach that point, where you feel spiritually close to God or to, Krishna or anything?
Like for me, when I realized this was like the right place for me, um, I th I think it was. I want to say it was my first time. Uh, like I'd been invited to go and spend the night at the temple, and then do the early morning Mangal Arti. And it was during that I just had this feeling like this thing that I've been missing, like that I felt I've been missing, like for years and years and years and years, and something that I didn't even feel when I was in the Mormon faith, and I'm like, man, like this is it, and I was just overcome, like with joy, and I just had this smile on my face. I couldn't stop smiling, and yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, that's honestly all I have. I mean, I think your story is pretty clear. It's a great story. It's just, I guess that was the only question I really had about,
Hmm.
spirituality and all that. So, yeah.
So, Dennis, Xavier, I have one thing, I mean, if you want to share, like Dennis is just 18, and you are like, I think 47 now, Xavier?
Yes, correct.
You're 47. So it's like almost like 18 plus 18 plus, you know,
Hmm.
further 11 more. It's like almost like, three times of his age, and I'm 37, somewhere in the middle. So what do you think that when you were a teenager, like Dennis, so that time we have so many kind of like desires and ambitions. So
Hmm.
to pursue spiritual life, it looks like a big step,
Yeah.
because the whole world is going in one direction, and you want to go for a spiritual
Hmm.
life. So now in your experience, even you also at the age of 20 started exploring the world, you did not go for a spiritual life that time so much. You came like 47 when recently you came and now you become serious. So what do you think in general? Is it good that we can just explore the world and get into all kinds of activities, and then later some point of time we can think of spirituality and maybe we can then take a turn in case we want to? Or do you advise that it should be done early, and we can also pursue it along with our studies and other career ambitions and all that? What is your advice for Dennis?
Um,
And especially understanding the American environment, the way how American kids are grown up
yeah.
and the way we have a friend circle. So how do you advise, what should be done? What do you think?
That I I I don't know how to answer that, because one part of me is saying, it wants to say, go out and discover yourself. Find out who you are if you haven't yet. Um, go and have fun, but be careful. But at the same time, I also want to say, like all the crazy stuff I did, was it fun? Yeah. Would I do it again? No. um uh but I have like I have those experiences so that I can speak on them. So I guess I would say, uh I would say be hmm. um I would say um to build a relationship with, find find other devotees, and if and learn from them, ask them about their experiences in life. Maybe talk to some devotees who are your age and see what life is like for them. And then if you're going to go out and live life, do it. But I would just be cautious of what you know of what you're going to get into.
Right.
Good
If
point.
that makes sense. Sorry.
No, that makes sense. It's okay.
Yeah. So basically, what I feel, Xavier Prabhu, that we all need some, as you said, or we all need some people whom we can relate to also.
Yes.
So you rightly said that if he can, Dennis also can, if have interview like he has done with you, with some of the people of his age, and they're into spiritual practice, and how they're able to balance their material life and their spiritual pursuits and all that, and what interests them. That can also be more relatable, I think. Maybe Karthik is one of the friends. They just but there can be some more whom this can relate to. What my advice as a monk, I can tell you, I was 18 when I joined this. When I started practicing it, one thing I realized, actually, sooner you get into this, you have more time to actually go deeper in spirituality. So I feel that many of the people who I see come late, they have this regret. Why did I not come earlier?
Mm.
Why did I
Yes.
waste so much of my time? Because if I have taken it earlier, I have done so much. And the material experiences, what they have gone through, it is not having much substance. In fact, sometimes that may become unnecessary an obstacle in their practice sometimes. Of
Hmm.
course, some kind of burnt experience also, or frustration because of not getting that real happiness in material pursuits, can also add to their sincere determined practice. But sometimes it goes other way also, because if we get too much into material life, you get into sinful activities, exploring, then you tend to become more attached to certain kinds of activities which are not favorable for your spiritual growth. So that is a kind of danger. As you said, be careful. You said, right?
Hmm.
So one has to be careful that one is actually evaluating his life very carefully, because our life is very precious. No? Our time is very precious. So we have to see that how we can actually live our life in a way we have, best use of this human form, what we have got. That's why there are many people in this world, those are seriously pursuing spiritual life. It's good to talk to them and find out the alternate ways of life, how people actually can be happy,
Hmm.
even without running after the material stuff, what in general everybody is running after. Because even after running after all these material pursuits, people are not happy. You can see average American teenagers or even late 20s and 25, people get into so many things, but sometimes they find depression, they get into a lot of issues, they have to take sleeping pills and they get a lot of problems sometimes. So yeah, it goes nowhere sometimes, correct. One last question for you, Xavier. How is your experience of chanting? Do you
I love
find
it.
it? Oh,
Yeah, yeah. It's it it centers me, and so like I could be, yeah, like it centers me. It whether I'm having a good day, like if I'm having a good day, then and I'm chanting it, I just feel more joy, and if I'm having like a bad day, or if I'm having a rough day at work, like I'll find, I'll take a break, and I'll find some, I'll just park somewhere, and I'll just chant, and then and then like I just feel better. Like all the stress that I was feeling, or the anger that I was feeling, or the frustration that I was feeling is just gone. And so
amazing. Mhm.
yeah.
Correct, correct. So what makes you connect? Like what is your feeling when you chant? Is it like just some kind of mechanical recitation, or there is some kind of connection, some kind of special feeling? What the mood you keep when you're chanting?
I try to just keep like um like just it's hard to do while I'm out work, like while I'm out working, but um when I'm on like my own time, I'll like I just like to just find like a quiet place, and just and you know like like what the mantra means. We're asking Krishna to put us into his devotional service, and so whether that's seeking an opportunity, like seeing if an opportunity presents itself for someone to introduce someone to Krishna, or like hey, I have a few extra minutes before before I need to get back to work. I'm gonna read from the Gita for a little bit, or just I don't know. Yeah, that's.
Okay, there's one last question, Xavier. Many people, even in India, have tough time to believe Krishna is God sometimes.
Mhm.
They think Krishna to be some ordinary person, some kind of great person. They have tough time, because sometimes they think that, oh, the humans have made their own God or something like that.
Yeah.
So did you face some struggle in that regard, and are you able to, like, have that faith that Krishna is God? How do you got into that point? If you can share something, you're able to wholeheartedly accept Krishna as Supreme Lord and not just ordinary person, and he's transcendental, he's the actual God, the Supreme Lord of everyone.
Yeah.
And because you were foreign to it, I mean, you never
Mm.
knew Krishna much, you just
Yeah.
recently came to know how that came up to you, how you came to that
Or
point.
what what really drew my interest was when I was asking my uh the friend that introduced me to this, like I was like, well, I grew up Mormon, and it's a sect, and he said this predates Christianity by 5,000 years, and I'm like, I was like, holy cow! I was like, okay, tell me more. And so as I started learning and started reading, um, and learning more about Krishna and about Krishna consciousness and the whole history of Krishna and of Arjuna, and it's like I saw sections of this that had been pulled, or that Mormonism borrows from, and says, because similarly in Mormonism, there's no illicit sex, there's no gambling, there's no intoxication, and and yeah, and so when I learned all this from, or I should say, when I discovered that these three things were also, that those founding principles came from Krishna, then you know like I was like, okay, this is what, um like I just kept getting more drawn into it and excited to learn more, and finding like my soul finding its home in Krishna consciousness.
Mm. And so my question is like a similar kind of like, how do you understand that yes, Krishna is God? How could you accept it? Like when
Okay.
did it happen? When did it happen that you could accept it? Yes, Krishna is God.
Um, I don't know if I can pin an exact moment, but um, for me, it's it's learning, because growing up, like in the faith I grew up in, saying the name of God is forbidden. And then I always thought, if there's an all-loving God, he would want us to like sing his praises, and and so when I learned about chanting, and then when I came to the temple and I saw all the devotees just in kirtan and chanting and singing and just giving Krishna all this praise, like I was like, this is amazing. Like this is, like, I've never seen this before. Um, and 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 at some point during one of my visits to the temple, was seeing kirtan, and um, I thought, if like if there's any people who, like if there's any group who is who God knows is singing his praises and chanting his name, it's ISKCON. Because I mean, there's the nickname, that has been given, is the Hare Krishnas, because like, who are the Hare Krishnas? Oh, they're that sect of Hinduism who chants the name of God, and yeah.
Yeah. So that so gave you so much of faith and conviction that Krishna is God, right?
Yes.
Exactly that moment you may not know, but that's how you were built up with that faith that Krishna is the Supreme Lord.
Yes, and I remember back in my Utah days, I would see people, I I would see people, like, in the early spring, coming back from Spanish Fork, a city in Utah, just covered in different colored chalk dust. And I'm like, what is this? And people are like, oh, it's the Festival of Colors. I'm like, what is that? Like, oh, it's it's holy. Um, and uh, and 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 I remember whether I was out riding motorcycles with friends or driving, down past, Spanish Fork, I remember seeing the Radha Krishna temple in Spanish Fork, and saying that looks cool, but I never made the connection that it was, you know, that it was that it was this, and so
Got it, got it. But it was not hard for you to accept Krishna as the Lord because of these wonderful experiences.
yes, correct.
Oh, that's great. Good. Very glad to hear from you. Dennis, you have any last question or anything, reflection?
Not really. I mean, she said everything perfectly. I think you had some great questions. Yeah. I think I
Yeah,
took a lot from this conversation, the reading in general. I think I'll definitely remember it. I'll see if I can come around next time.
yeah. But Xavier, what do you think? If somebody is very new to this Krishna consciousness, should he jump into the practice of chanting Hare Krishna, or should he wait for that faith to come? What do you suggest? Like in general, like what do you advise? Like sometimes people will be very new to it, right?
Yeah.
So do you advise them chanting Hare Krishna right away, or I mean, after they somehow get some conviction of chanting, then only can start? What do you think?
Well, from my own experience, I took the trust of my friend, like he said, start chanting, this is how you chant. And like Dennis said, like I don't know what I'm saying, but like, and I don't know what it means. But I like I put all my trust in my friend, and so I started chanting, and 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 I asked him, what does it mean, and and he says, you're asking Krishna to put you in his devotional service, and and I'm like, okay, cool, so you know and and so yeah, I just started chanting, and um I started off like doing like 1 round a day, and then I was working up to like 4 rounds a day. And then I met another devotee a couple months ago, who told me, he's like, yeah, I've been chanting 16 rounds a day for a year now. I'm like, oh wow. And so I put some more thought into it, and at that point I dropped down to like back down to like 1 round a day, and then and then and then I just started thinking of this devotee, and I was like, well, if he has a full-time job, and he's earning his master's degree, and he still finds time to chant 16 rounds a day, like here's me, I'm done with school, I'm in my career, and I'm not making time to chant, and he has a wife and children, and so I'm like, what's my excuse?
Which was a devotee?
uh, Amit.
Oh, Amit. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
When
yeah,
he
yeah,
comes our Westford program, he comes.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, nice. That's great. Grateful. Yeah. So good. Thank you so much. And then we started chanting. Then you started getting connected to chanting and understanding more. Correct?
Yes,
Oh, that's nice. So that means chanting itself will help you to understand who's Krishna and what is the devotional service, and helps to understand the teachings of Bhagavad Gita and everything. Correct?
yes.
That's nice. Great. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Dennis. It's your first time, and Xavier, such a wonderful example.
Hmm.
Yeah, Dennis. So, any what is your overall experience, Dennis, with this conversation with Xavier? What do you can you just conclude something by this? Your
I
overall.
guess the conclusion is, it takes time to get closer spiritually. It's definitely not an easy path. You really have to really stick with it. Again, didn't know what I was saying, but I think in due time I will, and in due time I really start feeling it spiritually.
Yeah, you felt inspired by his wonderful experience, his journey of spiritual life.
Um, I say yeah. Yeah, I mean, I definitely want to pursue more now. Try to look into it a bit more. So
Great.
yeah.
And I'd like to bring our Tejas. Tejas, how you got Dennis for this session today? And Dennis, what convinced you to come?
So yeah, Dennis is a pretty good friend of mine, and then like I told him about how I attend these readings like every day, almost every week, every day. And then he's like, "Oh, that's interesting." And like obviously, one of the classes that we're taking in college right now is called Hinduism and Christianity. So Dennis personally finds, I don't want to speak fully for him, but like with what he's told me, he finds the content and the concept of the whole class pretty interesting. So, and I told him about what I'm doing with this. So he was like pretty interested. He just wanted to join today just to check it out, really. So, yeah.
That's great. And Dennis, acha, so anyway, anything you want to add? Tejas, what he said?
Yeah, I mean, I'm good friends with Tejas. We talk a lot about Hinduism on the side. Even text messages, sometimes we talk about Hinduism. So yeah, it's pretty interesting. And yeah, I mean, thankfully he brought me in here to get to know more about the religion. And I'm really trying to understand it more.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let us chant once Hare Krishna mantra with our closing of this wonderful podcast. Hare Krishna, everyone together. Hare
Hare Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna,
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Hare,
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Rama, Hare
Hare
Rama, Rama
Rama,
Rama, Hare
Hare,
Hare.
Hare,
Hare Hare.
Thank you all very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so
Okay,
much.
thank you, Dennis. Thank you.